All Secretlab TITAN Evo chairs feature a full-length backrest that lets you recline up to 165 degrees, perfect for watching movies or taking a nap. To adjust the backrest recline angle, pull up fully on the recline lever at the bottom right of the seat base. Lean back slowly until the backrest reaches your desired angle. Next, slowly return the lever to its starting position. You should feel the lever lock in place. To return the backrest to an upright position, pull up on the recline lever while leaning back on the backrest. Slowly lift your weight off the backrest until it reaches your desired angle, then release the recline lever. To adjust the height of your armrests, press and hold the button on the outer edge of the armrest stem. Move the armrest up or down to your desired height, then release the button. To adjust the width between both armrests, press and hold the button on the inner edge of the armrest. Push the armrest left or right, then release the button. To slide the armrests forward or back, press and hold the button near the front of the armrest. Push the armrest forward or backward to suit your preferences, then release the button. You can also adjust the angle of the armrest by pressing and holding this button. The armrest top has been designed to be easily replaceable with hot-swappable magnetic tops. You can choose to upgrade to another top with a different material to suit your preferences. To remove the armrest top, grip the middle section and then gently lift the inner side of the armrest. The armrest top should pop out. Grip the new armrest top around the middle and set the outer edge of the armrest down at an angle. Next, gently lower the inner edge of the armrest top. It should snap into place against the armrest body. The new 4-way L-Adapt lumbar support allows for an additional dimension of adjustment, up and down, on top of, in and out. The lumbar depth adjustment knob will be on your right, while the lumbar height adjustment knob is on your left. Turn the right knob anti-clockwise to decrease the depth of the lumbar support, and clockwise to increase it. Turn the left knob clockwise to raise the height of the lumbar support and anti-clockwise to lower it. Do not put weight on the backrest while adjusting the lumbar support. Do not attempt to turn either knob past its maximum or minimum points, and do not turn both knobs at the same time. While seated on your chair, the height adjustment lever will be on your right, and the tilt lock lever will be on your left. To adjust the height of your Secretlab chair, pull up on the right lever of the multi-tilt mechanism. At the same time, lift your weight off the chair to increase the height, then release the lever. Adjust the lever while seated to decrease the chair height. Adjust the height of your Secretlab chair until you can comfortably set both feet flat on the ground. The Secretlab 2022 series features shorter, re-engineered hydraulics, so it is easier to keep your feet on the ground. The left tilt lever of the multi-tilt mechanism lets you lock or unlock the tilt angle of the chair. The left tilt lever paddle now faces backward for easier adjustment when your chair is reclined. To lock the tilt, flip the lever upwards. You can also lock the angle mid-tilt. To disengage the lock, push the left lever downwards. Then push your weight back on the chair slightly until you hear a click sound indicating the tilt lock has disengaged. You can now tilt the chair freely. The tilt tension knob controls the tension in the multi-tilt mechanism and how easy it is to tilt the chair. Turn the knob clockwise to loosen the tilt tension and anti-clockwise to tighten. The redesigned magnetic head pillow features an updated shape for better ergonomic neck support. The adjustment straps have been removed too, and it now attaches to the headrest via magnets. Simply place the back of the head pillow onto the headrest area to attach it. To adjust, hold the head pillow with both hands and slide the pillow up or down. To verify the authenticity of your Secretlab chair and access our assembly video, aftercare guides, and other useful information, scan the embedded tag on the back of the backrest with an NFC-capable phone.
For most Android smartphones and newer iPhones, a pop-up should automatically appear on your phone, requesting access to the link.
If your phone is NFC capable but does not come with an automatic scanning feature, please download a third-party NFC scanning app to access this feature. We recommend keeping the Recline safety tab and screw if you have small children in your home. They can be reinstalled for child safety. To reinstall, align the Recline safety tab with the guiding insert in the inner cover. Tighten the screw. This prevents accidental backrest adjustments in the presence of children.